Would you rather own 100% of a little grape or 10 to 30% of a massive watermelon? Welcome to the Nine Doors Down Show, where we discuss anything and everything about commercial real estate and investing. Let's get it.
Nine Doors Down.
John Lopez.
Nine Doors Down.
Hi, this is Tony Rose.
Nine Doors Down.
Hi, this is Anthony Pimentel.
Educating, capital raising, networking.
Nine doors down. Nine doors down.
This is called a show.
What up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of the Nine Doors Down Show. Anthony, I feel like we're coming full circle with our next guest.
Oh yeah.
When we were in Vegas for Fun Lunch, I remember we did our first authentic investor. Remember those Instagram posts that we used to do? And this gentleman was actually the first guy that we interviewed. And then now we've kind of got a little bit more professional, and now we're gonna feature him on our podcast. So this gentleman right here, Mr. Lio Guevarra, is a healthcare professional that has been investing in real estate since 2018. His current solo investments include single-family homes, specifically for travel, healthcare, and student housing in the San Francisco Bay Area. He has transitioned into multifamily and co-founded Hospi, a real estate investment firm serving medical professionals and their passive investing needs. The team has roughly 500 units in the fund. For all our listeners at home, probably taking a shower, washing the dishes, or you're stuck in traffic, listening to this podcast, let's welcome our boy, Mr. Lio Guevarra.
What up? Thanks, guys, for having me on. Excited to be here. So thanks for the opportunity to have me on your podcast.
Lio, it was only right that we have you on, and we should have had you on sooner, but I know our schedules have been tough. We've been working on some projects together, you know, as Hospi and Nine Doors Down, and we're just juggling a lot of things right now. And so it feels right so that we finally get to sit down and then chat with you.
Well, definitely, because we're always having different conversations. So it's only right that we just record one of them while we're just chopping it up and having this conversation. So.
Yeah, I mean, we're always talking some type of business, you know, whether
Exactly.
it's laundromats, real estate, vending machines.
Yeah.
What was the last one? Cupcake business. I don't know what it was, but you know, that's how we, you know, that's the great thing about it is like we surround ourselves with the right people, and we discuss, you know, we try to innovate ourselves and push ourselves to these different types of businesses.
Before we dive into Hospi, tell our listeners a little bit about your background, man. Like, what was life like before Hospi?
You know, so before Hospi, before real estate, I was a manager at Stanford Hospital in the pharmacy department. You know, my focus was pediatric oncology, and I ran a team of 80 staff members. And that became really taxing because at the hospital, everyone knows it's a 24/7-hour operation. So I had to run a team day in, day out. I would sleep only like 3 hours a night, schedule 1,000 shifts, do 80 reviews every year. And that just got me burned out of the corporate lifestyle. So eventually I started investing just to start building up cash flow. And then back in 2019, I had some personal things that happened to me where I needed to make a shift. And, you know, those things were really hard. And specifically me being forced out of a position, because the higher you go up in a corporate ladder, the more strategic plays happen between management. You know, I'm sure a lot of people have experienced that. So I was forced out of that management role. And the very next day, my brother committed suicide on Father's Day. So with that, I took the time like to debrief, like de-stress. And I took about a year off of just like reading, researching, figuring out what I wanted to do. And I was already around real estate investors. My mom was a former property manager. She owned her own company and she was doing multifamily as already. So I decided, okay, I already have a couple of investments. Let's scale this big. So I actually jumped into a mentorship program, RE Mentor. That's where I met Barton. And then from there, we kept meeting up, discussing. Eventually, we decided to partner up and create a fund just for our investors, because he came from the Kaiser background and I came from the Stanford. So it was only right that we did something for the healthcare professionals. And then since that time, we've been rocking and rolling.
Well, first and foremost, man, rest in power to your brother. I know he's got to be looking down on you and super proud of everything that you've accomplished in the last few years alone, man.
Yeah, definitely.
So tell me a little bit about linking up and finding a partner, because I think, you host a bunch of meetups, we all host it all together, whether it's the Bay Area, LA area, Las Vegas, and now San Diego. What were the components of a partner that you were looking for?
First off, I needed a partner that had a complementary skill set. So someone that was totally opposite from me. I like operations and, I'm a stickler for numbers. I needed someone who could actually communicate a little bit better than me or in different networks. And then, so it took me a while to find someone who could actually offset what I was either not good at or I didn't want to do. So I was already doing spreadsheets in my day job. I didn't want to do that after work. So I had to find a partner that wanted to do underwriting and running the numbers on spreadsheets after work, because I don't want to do that forever. So that was a great thing with Barton. Another thing also, everyone says partnerships are marriages, and they literally are, because it's a binding contract. But people don't forget you have to have a certain energy with who you partner with, So that person are a representation of who you are when you're not there. So you got to be very cautious of who you choose. So those are pretty much the two things I look for in partners. And then the third thing, which is most important, is execution. Now it's hard because everyone has their personal lives, but to have a maybe 80%, 85% execution rate of things that we decide on is really important to me as well.
I wanted to kind of take a step back and, before finding your partner, what was your first real estate deal? Like, did you get into single family, or you went straight into multifamily and was like, this is where I need to be, this is scalable, and this is what the long game is?
Actually, I never had a thought about multifamily. My first deal was actually a house hack. I purchased my house back in 2017. Then around 2018, I got tired. I was like, I don't want to pay this mortgage. And it was just me. I'm unmarried, I'm single, and I don't have kids. So I was like, what can I do to make more money? So I decided to rent the rooms out. And because I purchased at a time where the rates were really low, those two, I have a 3-bedroom home. The 2 rooms actually cover all of my mortgage already. So I'm just pretty much net positive. And after doing that for a year, I was like, this is doable. So I actually went to a couple other investor meetups, met a different partner, and we partnered on 2 more houses out here in the Bay Area. Those are the ones that we focused on for travel nurses and the student housing. And those were doing really well. But when 2020 hit, that's when I was like, I need to change my career, and I need to throw gasoline on the fire and figure out what I want to do. That's when I found out about multifamily and wanted to go in that direction.
Wow, man, that's amazing. I mean, everybody knows this. I mean, real estate ain't cheap in the Bay Area. So the
No.
fact that you're single and able to get your own property and have the right, I would say, mindset and mentality to be like, hey, you know what? Let me house hack this. Let me rent out all the rooms.
Yeah.
It just shows that you're entrepreneur kind of side of you. So that's awesome, man.
Yeah. And what's cool about that first house that we purchased was a straight gut. So it was a heavy lift. It was so bad that there was like carpet in the bathrooms, like next to the toilet. We had to gut everything and then redo it all and actually repaint everything, redo the hardwood. And I actually did the work with my dad. So that actually gave me a lot of game on how to actually manage the property itself and how to do a turn on a property and make it optimal.
Remarkable. I don't know why anyone would put carpet next to a toilet. That's just disgusting.
That was nasty.
That's
With
actually the old school
cushion.
ways.
Yeah.
The old
Yeah.
school ways, we used to have carpet in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Yeah, my son
Yeah.
will not be using that bathroom when he's waking up in the morning. Man, Leo, so one thing that stands out about you, man, is just like, I feel like you got a bulldog mentality, man, and you just go, right? As far as like what you experienced with your brother, and you did take some time off to kind of like regather yourself, rightfully so. I don't know if everyone can do that, right? Just moving forward. There are some people that turn into gold, and unfortunately there are some personalities that they may fold altogether. Where do you get that braveness, that toughness to just keep going? Was that something that you learned from your parents?
Well, with my parents, they told me whatever you do, just do it all the way. Don't stop, don't quit. But really, I harnessed or I developed that skill was two things. One, I was a wrestler in high school, so I learned to deal with pain and struggle physically, right? And I wrestled for 7 years from middle school all the way throughout my high school career and won states with that. But then on another front, it comes back to the DJing. You know, I'm a DJ too. And that allowed me to actually get comfortable with just putting myself out there and not being scared of what the consequences are or like the type of feedback or criticism I'll get. I had to just focus on what I was doing and try to come up with something that I felt would resonate with who I was as a person.
So you kind of just keep flowing with it.
Yes.
Because I
Yeah.
feel like as a DJ, like not every song is going to hit, but at also the same token, you're kind of setting up for the climax. So you'll play
Yeah.
3 or 4 songs for that big hitter. I can totally see that. Now, how do you see that correlating into what you do now within Hospi?
Welcome to the course on raising capital for investments. In this course, we'll cover the following topics. 1. Analyzing your investment strategy. Number 2, discovering potential investors. 3, crafting your pitch. 4, securing your investment. 5, our cheat code. We'll round out the program with our very own cheat code for getting in front of investors and being ready to pitch your investment opportunities. Take action today. Visit schoolofninedoorsdown.com and learn to attract capital.
Oh, this is one thing I never tell anyone, but I'll be happy to share it on this podcast. Is I look at a lot of different graphs. I look at a lot of different markets. And so I'm watching these graphs have peaks and troughs, just like music. And when you're mixing on Serato, you're trying to mix the sounds together. So when I look at what's happening in the finance world, what's happening in the real estate world, the bond market, or even job growth and things like that, I'm trying to find where all of them meet up, because that's like mixing, is trying to find that one point in time where the timing is correct and it's the great time to jump in and take action.
Dude, that's fascinating, man. You never shared that with me ever.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, man. I love
Yeah.
that.
And I actually, I'll share with you guys afterwards a couple links, but there's a couple of guys that are using this method. It's called the harmonics theory. And it's really just looking at economies based on their graphs and their trending cycles. And they have different cycles that may change from 100 years to 60 years to 30 years. And then the one I'm researching and studying right now is the real estate market, which is about 18.6 years. So there's a hard correction every 18 and a half years. So the last one was around 2008, 2009.
Yeah.
So 18 years now. Something might come up in the next like 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, I think that other, I don't know if you read that book or that video or watched that video with Ray Dalio, The Changing Worlds. That was very interesting too. So I think that kind of has some similarities.
Yeah,
with
and
what
so
you're talking about.
yeah, and definitely with that video, he's going off of what's called the Kondriev cycle, which is about 65 to 80 years cycle. And that's what happens. If you think about it, the war on terror, 65 years before that was World War II, 65 years before that was the Civil War. So now you get time when things are happening, because what happens is in the generations between 65 and 80 years old, it's a full generational change. So people redo the same mistakes because they didn't learn the lessons from their grandparents. Right.
History repeats itself sometimes.
Exactly.
Right? We don't learn from it. I mean, speaking of that, like as you're telling us about how you kind of watch the economy, I know the last year was kind of tough. What were you doing? What was your strategy with Hospi? Were you standing in the sidelines or still, looking for off market deals or?
Yeah, we're still looking. We're all over the place trying to figure out where we want to be positioned. Everyone is still hunting for deals, but now you got a lot of people trying to jump into multifamily because the brand new trend, and or self-storage, so there's a lot of things at play. And then with the rates changing and then all the printing of money, that's kind of affecting our strategy and our timelines. So one of the things that we've tried to do is actually look for shorter deals where we could get in and out really quickly. So we're actively looking, but we're not technically looking for the 5 to 7 year holds. We've been looking at the 2 to 3 year holds with development lately.
I feel like you had a jump start too with assisted living, right? So
Yeah.
you jumped into that in like what, roughly 2017, 2019, right?
The assisted living or the medical?
The assisted living.
No, actually, that one we're actively doing at the moment. In
Okay.
2017, we started with the midterm rentals, the travel nurses.
Okay,
where it started.
that's what I want to touch on as far as the travel nurses, right?
Yeah.
I see a lot of that now on social media, and
Mhm.
I think you jumped on it at the right time, because our parents, they're at the age where they've been retired for 5, 10, 15 years, right?
Mhm.
And especially living in the Bay Area, that population is huge. So,
Mhm.
for example, like the Filipinos, they all moved to the Bay Area like in the the 70s and through the 80s. Now that generation is retiring.
Mhm.
And so that demand, I think, is what's that term that they call it? Was it the silver wave? I think it was called.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
but now I'm seeing a bunch of people like on social media trying to crack that code and try to get into it.
Yeah, with the midterm rentals, that's kind of a race to the bottom now, because what's happening is everyone in Airbnb is trying to transition to midterm rentals now. Everyone knows about it. So that's made it hard for us with what we currently have, and we've been having a little trouble with that. But since we've been pivoting towards the assisted living model, it's actually a lot easier for us, because like Barton, since he's in physical therapy, he already has connections with all the whoever helps place these patients into those locations. He has direct access to it. And then with both of our networks of who we work with, we could easily find staff to actually work with us. So it positions us really good.
Yeah. So you guys are going to continue to scale that while also diving into your other investments.
Yes, definitely. Like we were talking before this podcast, one of our strategies is actually not only to run the assisted living business model, but to own the real estate also. So that way we're actually triple net leasing the property to ourselves in a different business.
Yeah. Do you ever see your guys selves getting to a point where you guys have like 70, 80, 90 beds?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think that'll happen really quickly. I think once we get a small portfolio of residential, we'll go straight into the commercial space and doing maybe 10 to 20 beds at a time. I
Yeah.
think that's where a lot of the economics and the economy of skill will actually start to kick in.
I like that. And then, so what other asset classes are you exploring as well?
Development,
Okay.
that's really big. We're already in another deal. We partnered up with Sage Equity. We've been in that deal for about a year. We're really pleased with what's going on. We're just sitting back waiting for the final process of the deal so we could actually exit already. And hopefully we could exit by the end of the year. In terms of that, we're just running and gunning with lending now. A lot of our investors want double-digit returns, so we're taking the opportunity to actually use their money and allow our investors to become the bank now.
So you guys are attacking it on the equity side, and then now it sounds like you guys are going to get into the debt side of things.
Yes, I think that's a good model for our investors, just because they get the high equity deals and then the high rate of return on the cash flow is the best of both worlds, especially with our fee structure, which is really low. So it actually helps our investors be happy, and they actually bring a lot more referrals for us.
That's awesome, man. It seems like you just flow with the with the way the economy is rolling. You got to change up your strategy. Like you mentioned, instead of doing long-term stuff, 5 year, 7 year kind of investments, you started looking at more short-term in order to, kind of double up your money and then reinvest to long-term afterwards, right?
Exactly. That's
So,
what it is. Hit the nail on the head. And that gives us a lot of flexibility and be able to pivot where we need to, depending on the time in the market and also the specific market that we're investing in.
right. And then that's why I always tell people, like, why I love real estate. Like real estate, you can do so much. Like it's not just single family. Like you said, It could be single family, but it's how you strategize. You used it as a house hack. You rented all the rooms, or you converted to assisted living, or you do midterm. Like there's so many different ways to make money in real estate. I mean, you can really diversify within real estate just as if you were buying, you know, 100 different stocks. You know, it's crazy.
And you know what's funny? I never said this to you guys either. I look at real estate light stocks. Like if it's like self-storage, I consider it like a bond because it's a safe investment where it's like, you know how much you're going to bump every year. You know, it's pretty standard, you know. And then whereas if you do a development deal, that's kind of like your venture capital because everything's based on pro forma. There is no returns until you actually sell.
Right. So let me take a step back here. Like you're in the healthcare kind of industry and you're a busy man. Like how do you keep track or how do you stay connected with all your investments, you know, managing, you know, whether it's the midterm, short term, assisted living. How are you balancing that out?
You know, I try to leverage my partnerships. So Barton will have a certain portfolio he'll manage, the assisted living, the and the midterm rentals, whereas I'll take care of some of the multifamily stuff. And then in terms of the administration, we'll split up the duties. So Barton will take care of all of the back end. I'll take care of all of the marketing and outreach to the investors. So because he can't go to as many investor events because he has his family and his kids. So since I'm single, I could be out and about wherever I need to be to kind of bring in more capital.
Yeah, just tag team. Just tap
Tag
you
team.
in. You're next. You go for me.
Divide and
Yeah.
conquer.
Yeah.
That's really what it comes down to. You know, a lot of people want to get into these deals and they want to do them by themselves, but you got to remember if you want the responsibility by yourself, you have to do everything by yourself. But if you have a team, now you could divide and conquer based on everyone's skill set or time abilities.
As far as your investor avatar,
Yeah.
I mean, you have an avatar that I think every fund management group is trying to crack. Was it easy to pitch your ideas and your investments to your peers?
Actually, my peers were the ones that taught me about syndication. I never knew about it in 2020. What happened is one of my LPs, she was already doing LPs in other people's deals. And she told me to take a look at it. Once I took a look at it, I went running down the rabbit hole, researching it. And I go deep when I'm trying to figure something out. So by the time I came back to her to pitch the idea, I kind of broke it down what our strategy is, and then also what type of fees we'll be charging. And she really liked it. So she actually jumped in to the fund and then brought her sister with her. So I had a pharmacist and then a physical therapist. And then from there, the word just started spreading between the office and everyone else I used to work with.
So she was an LP in other investments. Did she operate any deals?
Nothing. She operated nothing, but she's looking at it now. So she actually wants to go through the underwriting program. I think she'll eventually choose to join the capital raising program as well. So that'd be a big benefit for her because she's already invested in 3 of our deals.
Man, that's awesome. So your biggest advocate is actually an LP, and because I think the toughest struggle that many people have at real estate meetups is they don't realize that real estate meetups, that's not necessarily where you could find your passive investors. A lot of times in those meetups, everyone is trying to find the first deal, trying to operate it all, and they're not really thinking like as far as a team aspect.
Yeah, most of the time when I go to real estate meetups, I'm just trying to actually see what other people are doing and what kind of experiences they're having or any issues in any of their properties. So I could be like cautious for our deals, but I usually raise capital at non-real estate events, you know, financial planning events, estate planning, you know, all those events that are related to money but don't have to do with real estate. That's where I'll show up.
With that knowledge, is that why you started Investors Lounge Network?
Yes and no. So the reason why I actually wanted to start Investors Lounge because I got tired of the professionalism and, you know, the pretentiousness in real estate meetups. Everyone's trying. Yeah, I mean, you guys seen it where someone might throw an event and the real goal is actually to raise capital from you and not actually help you educate or build a network. So I wanted to do Investors Lounge as a way to bring people of all types of investments together. That way, when I want to invest in hedge funds, I could invest with David. If I want to invest in crypto, I got another guy. If I want life insurance, I'll go to another person. So that way I don't have to keep searching around for my team of investors or who I'm going to invest with or help manage my money. It's a way for us to build our own circle and keep the capital within us cycling.
Yeah, I know when you first told me about that event, I was like, I gotta check that out. That's cool. So like, Leo brings out the turntables. Yeah, he's either you or someone else, DJing and providing the background music, and it's not blaring music. It's just like it's like elevator music where you can still talk to people, but you can still like bob your head if you wanted to. And I think it creates such a relaxing atmosphere where the guards of the hand start to go down and people start to feel more comfortable actually talking about themselves.
I mean, that's the whole purpose. Just build community, let people just have a conversation, not actually judge each other. So, and it's become fruitful. I don't know if you guys raise capital from the Vegas or the LA ones yet, but we've been raising from people here in the Bay. So it's actually cool. Even some of the fund managers that we first met at the Investors Lounge, they want to fund the fund into our fund. So
you're doing it right, Leo.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. Yeah, we really appreciate you, letting us, jump in there with you with the Investors Lounge. Now that we're John hosted in Vegas, and then try to do one in LA. We're gonna do one in San Diego. So it's pretty awesome how this community is growing, and I think that's a great point. It's you build this community of not just real estate professionals; it's all industries. Like you said, crypto, insurance. It doesn't matter what industry you're in, you're going to want to invest in something. If you're looking for a specialist in a certain area, you can meet them at Investors Lounge. So that's awesome.
And what's cool about it, it's a common goal. Everyone wants financial freedom. Everyone wants to make money. So you bring a bunch of people with different strategies in one location, something cool is going to happen if you just let it gel.
Right. At the end of the day, you're hanging out with a bunch of cool dudes or gals, and it's just everyone who wants to be an entrepreneur. They're trying to hustle and grind and meet as many people as they can, and whether, like you said, whether they're in real estate or not, they're grinding for to scale their business in whichever way.
Yeah.
What I like about Investors Lounge too is someone might be going there just for stocks, right? And then next thing you know, they meet someone else that happens to be in insurance, but that insurance guy happens to know someone who is an operator in a multifamily operation or something. And so you have all these ideas that start to connect, and then one vertical is kind of like indirectly helping another individual from another vertical. And I've seen it tons of times, especially at meetups now, especially at Investors Lounge.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point. I mean, let's say, like you said, like you mentioned, someone sold a good amount of their stock and they need to put some capital aside, and maybe they need some tax to defer some of their taxes, or then you can meet them at Investors Lounge and pretty much help each other out.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, man. Another thing I want to dive into is the fun of a fund model. I'm hearing it more and more. Hunter Thompson, he's generating like soldiers right now from his camp. But our groups combined, we both started around the time before I think it really started getting like really popular. Could you tell the crowd a little bit of the powers of Fund of Funds and how it has helped your guys' operations?
The fund of fund is like the ultimate flexibility in a fund. It allows us to actually GP and sponsor our own deals. We could actually co-GP. And if we trust a operator good enough, we could just be an LP. So we don't have to actively management. What I like about the fund of fund is even on the deal level, we don't necessarily have to have a syndication every single time. We could partner up with a bunch of funds as a JV, but each one of us has our own syndication with our own LPs, right? So now all I have to do is worry about taking care of my LPs as long as the other funds take care of their LPs. So it becomes a way of dispersing workload a little bit easier.
Also, another component is, if you're dealing with the wrong personalities, you're dealing with sharks, right?
Yeah.
Whether they're the sponsors of the deal or the GPs. How do you protect yourself, kind of creating that line of anonymity for your investors to the sponsors?
Simple. The sponsors never get access to our LPs, especially when we have doctors, nurses, pharmacists, physical therapists. Everyone's headhunting for us, and they always want to talk to our LPs. And we tell them, "This is not our first rodeo. We know what's going to happen. Just give us your deck and your conversation. Tell us the pros and cons. We'll relay that to our investors, and we'll actually go through your underwriting and explain it specifically to our investors one by one. That way, if they decide to actually invest in the deal, it's because we've broken down the deal as best as possible so they could fully understand it. So now the sponsor doesn't necessarily have to speak to our LPs. At the end of the year of this past year, I had almost 2,000 texts because other sponsors' deals were going bad and they wanted us to use our fund to be a rescue fund. And I had to tell a majority of them no, because we did not want to get in a bad deal. For me, one of my principles is no deal is better than a bad deal. So I don't want to jump into a bad deal just to save your ass. You should have done the due diligence first.
And for our listeners out there, and if you guys are getting into capital raising, right, it's not the sponsor's fault that they actually want to get the contacts of your investors because they're trying to close a deal too. Yeah. But be proactive, guys, whether you're creating a special purpose vehicle for that one deal or you actually look into building a fund if you see yourself raising more than $1 million within 12 months.
Yeah,
it's something I really urge, especially a lot of people I bump into out here in Las Vegas. I'm like, you gotta look into a fund. You have to.
Yeah, especially if you have a lot of investors in your pipeline and you could raise capital and get good deals, have a fund. It's just easier for your investors just because you have one platform, no matter what deal it is. We get pitched so many deals that we don't know if they're going to want to be on InvestNext or Syndication Pros or, too many different platforms. Whereas with us, since we use A-Vestors, our investors are already accustomed to using that platform. And so anytime we do a deal, everything is on that platform for them. It makes it so much simpler and easier for them to understand and follow.
Yeah, shout out to our friends at A-Vestor. Like they've really created a one-stop shop for investors, whether it's debt, equity, or whatever.
And they have a really good mastermind too, which is cool for us because we're all on a call with 100 funds now. Yeah. So we get access to everyone to actually see what they're doing and how they're raising capital and things like that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm glad we got in there pretty early. I think we were number 15.
You guys were number 15?
Yeah, we were number 15. I think we were the first true 506B when we first.
Yeah, we were the very next one after you guys.
But that's awesome, man.
Yeah, because when did you guys launch? May?
Was it June 2022? May or June? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think you were right after us. You guys got set up.
Yeah, ours is August. That was when we signed.
A couple months.
Yeah.
So with your debt, I know, I'm sorry, with your fund, you were talking about debt.
Mm-hmm.
What did you like about debt, I guess, in this current market that really is like, hey, I think our investors can make their money work? And what type of debt are you investing in?
So right now we're investing in gap lending, which is the second position. But what we like about that position is we're able to collateralize a different property. Not too many other debt structures I've heard actually take a lien on a different property and collateralize their lending terms. The reason why we went into debt is just looking at the Vegas market. We knew that it was growing. The A's are moving there. They just had F1. The new Silicon Valley is being built out there. The new airport's being built in Prim. So there's a lot of things happening in Vegas, and we wanted to partake in that growth, especially on the needs of the residential side. So gap lending was like an obvious choice when we were looking at the Vegas market.
Yeah, and Vegas it's like the land of like it was like flippers and wholesalers,
Yep.
and it's on the single family side. So I think you're positioning yourself in a sweet spot.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's a lot of opportunity that's going to be down there in the next couple years. And what's unique about Vegas is one of those markets that even if there's a downturn, it might downturn really quickly, but it rebounds just as fast and just as hard. So it's like a trampoline effect. They actually rise a lot faster than compared to other cities that are trying to rebound from a downturn.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, that's great you mentioned that because back in '08, you know, the crash, I know some friends that had some properties there in Vegas. But at that time, with that crash, there was not a lot of industries in Vegas. I mean, there was just the entertainment, gambling, you know what I mean? But I mean, now you have what is it? A hockey team. Now they're gonna add a basketball team. Now you have a football team, and then you have tech. You have distribution, like the manufacturing. Like there's so much more going on now. And I think I just read an article for the you know, the Super Bowl is going to be in Vegas. There's going to be 400,000 people in Vegas that weekend.
Yeah,
An
see,
extra
that's nuts. Yeah.
400,000, and I just think about like the Airbnbs, the midterms, I mean the short term rentals, or the hotels, or whatever you have. It's like
Oh,
people are gonna make money that weekend for
oh
sure.
man, the
Yeah.
restaurants and you
Yeah,
I'll be staying in the northwest corner of the valley that weekend because it's gonna be cracking.
for
That's a
sure.
perfect time to utilize the Augusta rule, right?
Yep.
That's a
Another thing.
perfect time. So,
Well, go ahead and tell the listeners about the Augusta rule
well, the
and
Augusta rule is when,
how it helps them on taxes.
yeah, Augusta rule. So this rule was developed by some golfers out in Georgia. And what it is you could rent your property out for 14 days out the year, tax free at the market rate if you're throwing like a business related event. So if you've thrown events already, say at like a restaurant or at an office space, and you paid a market rent of say $1,000 for that, then you have a proof to the IRS that you could actually rent out your home for a office, business related event for $1,000 each transaction. Now you get 14 days to do that. So you could technically rent out for $14,000. It's all tax free on the individual side, but on the business side, you also get the $14,000 tax deduction. So you're actually moving money from one hand to the left hand and generating a little bit more money.
Man, like when I talk to both of you guys, like I just sit there, I'm like, dude, these guys are dropping just jam after jam after jam after jam.
Yeah.
I could chop it up with you guys forever, which we have chopped it up forever
Yeah.
over Zoom. As we start to wind down, Leo, like nobody has a crystal ball. What do you forecast for 2024?
It's hard to tell, but rates are expected to come down, right? So they're expecting another 2 to 3 different rate reductions on the Fed side. So I think that's going to create an explosion for demand on the residential side. So there'll be a lot more appreciation, and that's why we position for the gap lending. That way we could kind of make sure we have that buffer in that second position to actually be able to make a profit for ourselves and our investors.
Right. Is that your strategy for 2024? The gap lending, the debt side, and are you looking to any multifamily?
We're still actively looking. It's just a lot of deals still don't pencil out. The insurance numbers, property taxes, everyone's getting killed. The utilities have gone up, 20 to 30% in some locations, so it's hard to underwrite a deal that pencils out unless we could get something like it's a assumable loan. Or if it's a market that we're already in, we'll definitely explore it. We're talking earlier that Dallas is one of the places that we do have an investment. So it's like we might as well keep looking in wherever we're situated.
Yeah. A man with a plan is dangerous, which I've said on here multiple times. And this guy, Leo, definitely is a dangerous man. What would you say your superpower is, Leo?
Mine?
Yeah.
Ooh, connecting. I like to go to events and I like to find people and just connect them to other people that are doing cool stuff. And that was the premise of Investors Lounge. And then look how it's grown. We're doing it here in the Bay. You guys took over SoCal and Vegas. Now it's expanding to Dago, so it's going to be really exciting what we could do together as a crew.
Yeah, it's that teamwork.
Yep.
And so these next two questions that we have as we wrap things up, Leo, these are
Okay.
probably going to be the toughest questions you'll ever face,
Okay.
especially because I know your background.
Okay.
You're stuck on an island anywhere.
Okay.
No friends, no family. You're just isolated, but you're able to
Okay.
bring your iPhone.
Okay.
But the caveat is you could only load up one musical artist or one album on your phone to pass the time. What is that artist or what is that one album?
Ooh, that one artist. I'll probably have to say, oh, that's so tough. I have to flip a coin, but I'll probably say Earth, Wind, and Fire. I'm a stickler for the old school music. It's a
Yeah,
good
I love
vibe.
that.
It's good energy. You could dance to it. It got good love songs. So you get a mix of everything. So I wouldn't feel isolated by myself.
That's a good choice, man, because you
Yeah.
can play music from them where it excites you, and also, hey, you might be missing your significant other
Yeah.
back on the mainland.
Yep, exactly.
I actually, when I drive to Vegas, I love listening to slow jams. That actually keeps me up more than like if the listening to rap on the way to Vegas from LA. From LA
Yeah,
to
actually,
Vegas. I rather
same
listen to
here,
slow
man.
jams.
Same here. I mean, you play some Jodeci,
Yeah.
like perfect.
Awesome, dude. So my question is, are you a tropical guy or mountainous area? And if so, uh, where would your bucket list be?
Oh, one location though, or
One location, yeah. If you were
oh,
tropical or you like hiking in the mountains or snowboarding, whatever.
I actually love both though. I'm an outdoors person, but I'm gonna have to pick the water. The water's
I
peaceful for me. It gives me a lot of balance, but I am a climber, so I do like to actually do mountainous stuff, but the water's good for me. And then bucket list, I'd go back to the Philippines and explore it again. Just because it's been a while since I've been there, and there's so many different islands. It's a great place where you could just find new
is,
things to do.
is there a specific island? Like my mom's hometown is Palawan, so El Nido and Corona's there.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's on the bucket list. I'm actually going in June for a month, so I'll be going to Palawan, Cebu. I'll be going to Boracay and then Tagaytay, and then while I'm out there, I'll be getting my second citizenship. So
Oh, I think John's going in June.
Yeah, we're going in June,
yeah,
and so is our
yeah,
our mutual partner Dre.
yep.
Oh, that's gonna be fun. Maybe you guys can connect.
Yeah,
Well,
I
I'm going
know.
at the end of the month, right? You guys are going earlier, so
Yeah,
I'll miss out
more
on
than
that.
likely, it's probably like the first week of June that we're gonna head out there. But Dre, he wants to take a look at some land out there.
Yeah,
It's gonna be hot, but I'm sure you guys
Yep,
will still stay cool in the water.
I'll have
yeah,
my mosquito repellents out there.
yeah. They
Man,
like American blood,
they
so.
do. Yep. So Leo, how can our guests get a hold of you? Any websites, social media, emails you want to share?
Yeah, they can find me on social media, Lioneil.g or Lionel G, or just visit our website, hospi.vip.
Awesome. So Leo, thank you for hopping on with us. A couple months down the road, let's have you on again. Maybe have you and Barton on as well. But I'm excited for what the future holds for you and your team, which also includes us because we're all part of a team with you. We just thank you for hopping on, and on that note, everyone, please give us a like and a follow on your favorite podcast platforms, including YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, Google Podcasts, and whatnot. But on that note, for the Nine Doors Down show, we out.
Peace.